White Reaper asking for a ride, album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from White Reaper. They are a Kentucky-based band who in their early days excited the hell out of me with a really great string of EPs and a very sweaty garage rock sound that at the time I was very into. But if their early EPs were very promising, I found their 2014 debut, White Reaper Does It Again, to be even more promising. I mean, while the songwriting wasn't blowing me away on this album, White Reaper had two things, and that was the energy of the sweatiest garage punk band out there, and the ability to write some really big, larger-than-life power pop choruses. Instantly, I was hooked, and if that was the case by then, by the time the world's best American band came out, I was a full-blown mega fan. This album is so underrated. This is a treasure trove of grimy guitar work, just arena-sized power pop ballads, and just really great songwriting. It's really well produced, too. Every lick on this album is gold and should be treated as such. Judy French, do I need to say more? Now, their last album, I know a lot of people have a lot of strong feelings on the You Deserve Love album. This was a much more, lighter, much more power pop oriented album with a little less guitar work, which did upset some. But I still really enjoyed it. I thought that a lot of the singles on there were some of their best, like 1F, and you might be right. But if it was a little light for you, trust me, I understand that, which is why this new album excited me so much leading up to it. Clearly, the band was bringing the energy back to their music, and I didn't want to get my hopes up, but the new singles leading up to this thing were absolutely fantastic. And yeah, this album's really good. Pun intended here, White Reaper here absolutely do it again. The album starts off with its title track, Asking for a Ride, and instantly the energy is up on all levels. It's surprisingly heavy at times in nature, which is a great thing, especially if you weren't into their last work. It's got a throttling riff. It's got the off-the-rails nature that I did not expect to hear here in this fantastic shouted chorus. It's great. It is the wild start I didn't expect to hear here. Bozo, it's fantastic. I mean, once again, if I'm not just shook by the heavier side to this album, which is quite a bit of it, the sheer amount of heart and passion on display here is pretty commendable as well. And all the while, their songwriting chops have not faltered. My God, that chorus. You're going to hear me say that quite a bit. It is catchy as hell. And the guitar solo that we get here, hell yes to that. Just give me all of this you got. Which leads me to Fog Machine, and I will say this, White Reaper have always, to an extent, taken a lot from the past. There's always been a little bit of a retro tinge to their music. This is no different. I mean, this riff here on this track basically sounds like an unused hair metal ballad riff, but I'm okay with that. They make it work. Especially not when this chorus rolls in again, which is another absolutely memorable one. Get used to hearing that and put this track on your damn workout playlist. It's great. And not only that, it's fun. This track is just so much fun. This album overall is so much fun and easy to take in and instantaneous, and I needed something like this right now. And the solos, I mean, once again, I was not expecting to hear so many of them, but I'm glad they're here. And getting into the trouble with the boss, honestly, this track took me a few listens. I was not feeling it at first. But now, truthfully, I can't get it out of my head. I've been listening to this track nonstop the last few days. It almost has a new wave flair to it. It honestly comes off like White Reaper or, covering the Police. Which, on paper, sounds like my nightmare. But how is this done so right? Like, this is done so right. This hook, my God, one of the catchiest things I've heard in ages. And listen, if this album isn't your bag, I get it, but it is for me. Honestly, I can't help but smile from ear to ear listening to a lot of this album. Now, there are some moments of slight weakness. Take, for example, Funny Farm. Honestly, if you haven't gotten it already, this is a much more energetic and heavy album from White Reaper. But as far as the rest of this album goes, this is easily the heaviest thing here. This track's got some freaking teeth to it, and I am just not that crazy about it. I mean, like, I feel like they're trying so hard here, way too hard, which is sad to see because of just how great the material is on most of this album without seemingly trying too hard. And I just wish Thorn stuck with me a little bit more. I mean, like I've kind of let on, the White Reaper formula isn't anything mind-blowing or, God, genre shifting. It's a very simple formula. It's, you know, straightforward at the end of the day. Right, catchy, power pop laden alternative rock jams. That's what they do. But sadly here, honestly, it comes off as a big old shrug. This track sounds like 8 other tracks on this album, and I can assure you all 8 of those tracks are much more listenable than this. Yeah, it's not that good, but I'm glad I don't get to say that much more than this, because the rest of this album, I mean, while it may be a little too straightforward and simple for some, it's making me smile from ear to ear. Like we get to Pink Slippin'. Come on now. This is just an unbelievable single. It's fantastic, it is anthemic, and an all-around blast. It's the single that excited me the most for this album. It's simultaneously a throwback to a simpler time, but then this chorus rolls around. It is a fist in the air, scream your heart out chorus, and it's great. Is it the biggest artistic statement you're going to hear this year? No, it's not. Far from it, bud. White Reaper have this formula down to a science, and they're good at writing catchy rock tunes. Heaven or Not is one of the slowest tracks here, almost bordering on a power ballad, and that comes complete with those big, patient drums and that gigantic chorus. And honestly, I necessarily was not vibing on it at first. It took me a few listens, and it is cheesy as hell, but honestly, I can't say no to it. It's really powerful and arena-sized, much like White Reaper's best stuff. Just sit with it, take it in, and don't judge a book by its cover. Crawlspace reminds me the most of what they were doing on their last album. It is a little bit more stripped down, a little bit more straightforward power pop, but like this hook. Good luck getting it out of your head for the rest of the day. And yes, it's simple. The structure of everything is so freaking simple and straightforward. But it's easy to take in, passionate, and just feel good. Incredibly passionate, too. And Pages, as a single, I couldn't ask for anything more. It's stripped down, it's got that big, crunchy chorus. It almost reminds me of some of the great radio rock from the 90s that I grew up with. I mean, I personally love this album. If you don't like it, I get it. It's pretty straightforward at the end of the day. And honestly, if I had to make one more critique, I wish this thing was a little longer. This is by far the band's shortest record. It's only 29 minutes. I could have used another track or two, but if that's what I'm going on, and I didn't really have a lot of bad tracks here to talk about, White Reaper are on a serious roll right now. They write catchy, instantaneous music that is feel-good, passionate, and larger than life. Incredibly catchy, too. The hooks on this thing, good luck getting them out of your head. This album makes me happy. If it's a little straightforward for you, I get it, but for me, this is bliss, and I needed this right now. Feeling a very decent 8 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.